everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie and I talk all things travel. So today we're going to take a look at the Level 8 Luminous 20-inch carry-on. I've had mine now for about 2 months, and over that time I've taken it on a couple different trips. I'm so excited to tell you about it. But first, I do just want to give a quick disclaimer. This was gifted to me by Level 8. However, this review is entirely my own. They have not seen it. They're seeing it right along with you. So let's go ahead and dive in, and I'm going to tell you everything I love about this bag and a couple things I wish would have been done a little bit differently. And at the end of the video, we're going to figure out if this is the perfect carry-on for you. Let's get started. If you haven't heard of Level 8 before, here's what you need to know. This brand was founded in the US in 2008, and their motto, which I really love, is built to last, designed with a purpose. And the second you look at this line, that rings so true. So first, let's talk about the exterior of the bag. As you can see, I went for the white, like cream color, and to be honest, I kind of wondered if it was going to be a mistake because let's be honest, it's never easy to keep a light colored suitcase clean. But the really cool thing about Level 8 and this particular line, the Luminous line, is that the hard shell's actually designed with this like diamond-like texture, which is basically meant to help keep the suitcase looking nice because this diamond texture is meant to prevent like scratches and just make it a little more durable. And I'll be honest, when I pulled this out of the box, I saw it and was a little like, it's interesting. I'm not sure it's gonna work. But let me tell you, this bag, over the last 2 months that I've had it, has really been put through a lot. Partially of my own doing, partially of the bag's doing. And we're gonna get into that in a little bit. Starting off with the exterior, let's take a look at the logos. So logos are something that always kind of drive me a little bit crazy because I feel like I'm a minimalist girl. I don't want something that's like wild or like super big. The thing I really appreciate about Level 8 is the fact that their design is so minimalist and chic and just super, like low key. You've got just one logo here, and then you've actually also got a hidden logo on the wheels, which I didn't even really notice for maybe the first week. Starting off, the dimensions for this bag in inches are 14.5 times 9.2 times 21.5. And if we're looking at that in centimeters, we're looking at 36.38 times 23.36 times 54.61. And in terms of weight, we're looking at about 7.7 pounds according to their website. While it's not the lightest carry-on, it's also definitely not the heaviest. I feel like that weight's pretty standard across the board with most popular brands. So now that we've talked about all the little details, let's get into the actual build of this bag, which I am really excited to talk about. This shell is a German macrolin. I'm going to put the word on screen so you can see, you can figure out your own pronunciation, polycarbonate, and it's really, really durable, specifically because Level 8 has done something I haven't seen any other bag do. They, instead of using like a smooth surface, have actually come up with this diamond-like texture that keeps this bag from getting scratched up, and honestly, it's worked really well. When I tell you, this bag was literally in the bushes a few days ago, and I know you're thinking, Allie, how on earth did that happen? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you, but the point of this story for now is that I know this bag has held up well because it's been through some crazy situations in the past 2 months. Before we get into the story, I do just want to talk about one other feature that's going to tie into the story, and that is the wheels. So these 360 spinner wheels are amazing. They work really, really well. In fact, they work a little too well. So as you can hear, they're fairly quiet, obviously depending on what surface they're on. And they're very, very smooth to wheel around. In fact, I think out of all of my carry-ons, this is hands down the one with the smoothest, like easiest to run with wheels. I've tested it because naturally, as a Type B traveler, I was running late to my flight. Basically running to go to the gate with this, weaving in and out of people as you do. And let me tell you, I've done this with a couple bags now. It really is like a bit of a habit of mine. And this bag right here, hands down, easiest to run and like wheel around people with. Like the wheels on this work really, really well. But here's where it's a little bit of a story. This bag has kind of become affectionately known in my friend group as the Runaway Bride. It honestly is a good name. We first realized, she might be a bit of a runaway bag when I was at the airport, early morning flight, pulling my stuff out of the trunk, put my bag down, turned to get my personal item, was getting organized, and next thing I know, I look, my bag's not there. No, it's a parking garage, nobody stole it. So I'm like looking around. This bag right here, all the way down at the other end, thankfully didn't crash into a car or anything. Like it was fine. It, hit the curb and just went over. It was an important lesson because this bag right here, the wheels work so well that unless you remember to like park it or hold on to it, it kind of has a tendency to like roll off on its own if it's not a super flat surface. So where I could see this possibly being a problem is if you take public transit a lot. As an ex-New Yorker, that's, I think, my first thought when I realized that was kind of the vibe with this bag, especially because I was heading to New York. So I was very, very careful on the subway to just, keep a hand on it or keep a foot in front of it. But honestly, that's my biggest complaint with this bag, and it's really not even a bad one. So that happened, and then cut to the following weekend. I'm on a little weekend getaway with my friends. We've rented a little cabin in not a remote area, but like there was a sidewalk and it was like a little woodsy. So not a big deal, but again, we stopped. I forgot to keep my hand on this, and that's how she ended up in the bushes twice. She just rolled right off. So I'll put those pictures up so you can see what I'm talking about. But the amount of sticks and brush she went into, that time I thought for sure, like, okay, the parking garage didn't mark her up, but the sticks, the brush, 100%. Like, she's gonna be a little like messed up. Dirt here, and like, it obviously wasn't a muddy day, or I think it would have been way worse. But the fact that like that's really all it picked up from those like runaway things, obviously the bottom's a little bit dirty. This bag right here, being cream, and the amount of stuff it's been through, especially the amount of times it's fallen over or crashed or like run off. So the motto of the story is this bag right here and this diamond texture, level 8, like 10 out of 10, phenomenal. If you want a bag that's gonna hold up to scratches and like frankly, a lot of like bumping and throwing around for 2 months in and how much I've put this through, I really like 10 out of 10 on that. Like well done, level 8. The wheels, I love because like I said, I can run through the airport and this is so easy to navigate, but I almost feel like there needs to be like a brake option or like something. But at the end of the day too, this isn't the first suitcase I've had to do this, and I'm sure it won't be the last. It's just something that happens with suitcases sometimes, especially on, slightly uneven surfaces. So I don't think that's at all a count against the bag. I think it's just something to be aware of. Let's continue with the exterior. We've got 2 grab handles. So we've got one right here and then another one on the top. And both of them, I really, they're grab handles. Like, I don't think there's a ton to say. They get the job done. I like that they stay pretty flat on the bag. Again, like super chic. The material is really comfy. I like a bit of a rounded space here to hold on to. It just makes it nice and cozy when you're grabbing the bag or putting it in the overhead. Now that we've talked about that, let's go ahead and move on to the zippers. Level 8 uses a YKK zipper, so it's going to be durable. And, they're very smooth. Honestly, like 10 out of 10, no major complaints on the zippers. I think they're pretty standard. And then also, along with the zipper, you've got a TSA lock. So again, pretty standard. Both zippers just place into there nicely, unlock like any suitcase really would at this point. I think TSA locks are pretty standard. Everyone's experienced them. And we've also got up on the top, the telescopic handle. And this one I especially love. There's different settings you can click it into depending on your height. It's honestly a very comfortable handle. No complaints there. The last thing to talk about on the exterior is just the fact that they have 4 little feet on this side of the bag just to give you a little bit of extra protection, especially if it falls or bumps around, which frankly this bag does tend to do, but it survives really well. So that's the exterior of the bag. Let's go ahead and dive into the inside, and then once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you how this bag looks fully packed and just how much she fits, because honestly, I'm a carry-on only girl, and I was even surprised by how much I could squeeze in here. So let's take a look. Okay, so now we've moved on to the interior of the bag, and as you can see, it's very simplistic, again, which is very much level 8's design, just simplistic, chic, straight to the point, gets the job done, which I love. See, on this side, we've got a full mesh panel here that's gonna keep everything in place, and if we open that, there we go. All right, so you can see we've got nice material in here, and I love that this is all just one big open space that can just be zipped in versus having a compression pad where you've got to, like, you know, pull the straps and really push everything down. This kind of packing, to me, I just prefer, because as long as I can get it to zip, like, I know it's going to stay down, it's going to be fine. I really pushed it with this bag a little bit, especially coming back from New York after a bit of shopping. And these zippers, I can confirm, hold up really well. Obviously, don't like totally force it, but they get the job done. Oh, and one other thing to note about this side of the bag, this is the side of the bag where you're going to end up packing around these bars right here. So moving on to this side, and then moving on to this side of the bag, you can see it's also that same mesh material, but instead of just having one big piece that just holds everything in, they've gone ahead and given you two pockets, which I really appreciate. I love a bag with pockets like this, especially when they're divided. So what I like to do is I keep my souvenirs and receipts in one, and then typically in the other one, I'll put anything that, like, I might want to have easy access to, like a change of clothes or just something I might just want to quickly grab without having to totally open the whole suitcase. You can see on the inside, it's just a nice empty space, plenty of room to pack. And speaking of packing, let's go ahead and pack this out so you can see just how much it fits. Before we start packing, these are the Level 8 packing cubes. This is their 4-pack. One of my favorite things about this pack is that the labels are Velcro. So you can just switch them out however you're using them. So for today, we are not going to use the shoe container because it is very large. I'll show you when I bring the suitcase up here. This takes up the entire side of the suitcase. So for today, we're not going to use it, but just so you know, it's here if you want it. Okay, so this is my favorite bag in the set, and it's really cool because it's just Velcro, so you can connect and kind of make your own compartments. You can use this either for tech gear or for makeup. I've actually never had like a proper makeup bag before, so for me, this is the most organized I've ever been. As you can see, there's not a ton of products. I'm a very minimalist person when it comes to makeup and hair care. Like, I just, you know, I feel like less is more, so I try to keep it simple with just really quality products. So we'll go ahead and pack that up. So we're gonna pack for a weekend in New York, starting off with some personal items. First, we've got some panties and 2 bras. Okay, got some socks, a pair of tights, a pair of dance tights because I am taking a ballet class while I'm in town. So we're also just going to put our leotard right on top there and close that up. All right, next we've got our clothes. First, we've got a pair of black trousers, a merino wool shirt, a turtleneck, a little black sweater dress, a bodysuit for a night out on the town, and that's going to go with the black trousers. Maybe, there we go. My pajamas, which hopefully are going to fit. If we get into the corner down there. There we go. So full disclaimer, I've gotten really accustomed to compression packing cubes. So it's been a hot minute since I've used ones that are not compression. Hopefully this is all gonna fit. I think we can do it. Last, we've got our pajama pants. Let's see if they go in. I think maybe we can get them to fit. There we go. Perfect. Let's start packing. Okay, so this is the side with the bars, and then this is going to be the side without the bars, so we just need to be a little strategic here. Before we start, I just want to show you how this packing cube ends up fitting in here. And essentially what you have to do to really get it to go in is put it in the bag first and then open it and pack it inside the bag, because if you pack it and then try to shove it into the bag, what ends up happening is because of the sizing, you kind of end up having to really struggle to get it past these corners. So if you pack this particular packing cube, just make sure you're packing it with it already kind of placed in the suitcase, and it's going to be a lot easier to get shut and just in there. But we're not using that today because I like the flexibility the little ones give us. All right, so first things first, we've got our packing cube filled with clothes. I'm gonna just slide that right up to the top. It fits in there really nicely. Get that over that, perfect. And these are a pair of the boots I'm packing. They're waterproof, which is really great. They're called Blondo. I've had them forever. They're basically a dupe of the Stuart Weitzman 50/50 boot, and they're the comfiest things ever. Blondo, if you are listening to this, I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in a shoe bag. This is a bag I had on my own. It did not come with the suitcase. I'm gonna just stick that right here on the bottom. Perfect. Okay, we're looking good. Let me just jump to this other side. This side, I'm gonna go ahead and put my makeup bag, and because that's pretty flexible, because I don't really have anything huge in there, that fits really nicely just between these two bars. And then I've got my personal items. That's just gonna squeeze right in there. Okay, we're doing great. Just get that right in that crevice. Perfect. Okay, next I've got my Cadence capsules as well as just some other miscellaneous toiletries. I'm gonna go ahead and just slide that right in there. It fits really nicely. Then I'm gonna pack booties. So I've just kind of working with what I've got. I've got a plastic bag covering this one just to keep everything clean. And we're just gonna get that right in the corner there, and it's gonna go up over that. And while this isn't the most chic option, again, it gets the job done. It keeps your shoes from touching everything in the bag, and that's just gonna layer in right there really easily. Okay, we're looking good. So next, I've got a black purse. I think, will that fit right there? I think that's a little tight. Let's maybe do this. Yeah, that can go right on top there. Perfect. Just gonna kind of zip that in a little bit. Perfect, that's looking good. Okay, I've also got my Longchamp bag. This is one of my favorite bags to travel with because it's so easy to just squeeze in wherever. I'm gonna just squeeze this in the corner here. Okay, just gonna there we go. A pair of sunglasses. I'm just gonna squeeze those in right here where we've got some space. Looking good. I'm just gonna close this up a tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, we can still fit some things kind of in this empty space here. But normally what I like to do is kind of leave these empty spaces in case I end up buying anything, because then I know I can kind of shift stuff around and somehow make room because there was room to begin with. So I'm gonna just leave that as it is. Okay, and jumping back over here, and then I've got my Siri toothbrush. If you have not tried Siri, these are the best travel toothbrushes. Their charge lasts for about 30 days, so you don't have to worry about charging them on the go. And that's gonna fit in really nicely there. Next, I've got a belt, so I'm gonna just toss that there. And my ballet slippers. Okay, we're looking good. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a little bit of space so we can do some shopping. And I've got my makeup removing wipes. So we're gonna toss those right in there. Face mask to use when we get to the hotel because my skin hates the cold. So this is gonna be really helpful. And a couple liquid IVs because I always end up running on coffee and cocktails when I'm in the city and forget to drink water. So hydration's important. We're not going to forget this time. And then on this side for now, I'm going to go ahead and just leave this empty because I like to put souvenirs and like receipts and things in one of these just to like keep everything organized, especially when I'm traveling for business. It makes a huge difference. So we're going to just keep this our designated receipt souvenir area. And we're all set. Jets. Whew. All right, we're ready to go to New York. Whew. Okay, so we've reached the end of the video, and the final question is this the carry-on for you? At this point, I have a feeling you probably already know whether or not this is the one for you, but just in case, let's just do a little recap. Personally, I really love this bag. This is definitely a bag I'm going to be reaching for again. While she does like to run off a little bit, runaway bride style, honestly, I think it just gives this bag more personality at the end of the day. I can tell you right now, by the end of our trip, this bag right here was like the main character. And frankly, for good reason. I mean, the fact she's been through so much and she still looks so good. This diamond texturing right here, like 10 out of 10. So I think if you're looking for a carry-on that's gonna hold up well, doesn't show scratches, I think you're gonna be okay unless you check it. And even then, you know, this has held up so well, I think it's gonna be fine. So with that, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me and it helps support my channel. If you'd like to hear more about this bag, I do have a full review on my website, alitravels.com. I've got the link in the description box below. And then also in that description box, I have an affiliate link for this bag. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you're thinking about purchasing and you do end up hitting that buy button, it would mean the world to me if you could use my link. It helps support my channel and again, doesn't cost you anything extra. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.